Okay, in this video we're looking at expanding double brackets, and let's just get straight into it. So the keyword there, expand. Expand in maths, it has different meanings, but in this case, expand means you want to multiply out of the brackets. And the way that you do this, we'll go through it one step at a time, is you begin by taking the first term in the first bracket and you multiply it with the first term in the second bracket. So you're doing x times by x. So we're doing x, you're timesing it through by x. X times x we can just go and write as x squared. Like this, x squared. You then take this first term, this x, and you multiply it with this 3. So you're doing x times 3. Or you could write it as 3 times x. It means the same thing. So you're doing x and you're timesing it by 3. Well, x times 3 also means 3 times x, which you can just write as 3x. Okay, 3x means 3 times x. It's just, this is much nicer because you kind of grouped it together. It's written more simply. So we had x squared. You then got this 3x part, so you've got plus 3x. You then go to your second term in the first bracket, you times it by the first term in the second bracket, so you're doing 2 times x. So 2, you're timesing it through by x. 2 times x you can go and write as 2x. Again, in math, if you're timesing together, you just group it together. So we've got 3x and then plus another 2x, so plus 2x. And then finally, we go and do this 2, and we times it through by 3. 2 times by 3, okay, is equal to 6. So you've got that plus 6 on the end. 2 times 3 is 6. So this is kind of called the claw method, because this kind of looks a bit like a claw. Okay, so you're just timesing out all of the terms to give us this. We're not finished there, because you can simplify this. You can simplify it because we have like terms. What I mean by like terms, well, you've got, let's change the color of this, sorry. You've got a 3x part, so a plus 3x, okay? And you've got a plus 2x. Because they both end in x, we call them like terms. You can group them together. So 3x and 2x will go to 5x. So you've got this first part, which is x squared. You've then got 3x plus 2x means plus 5x. Literally, okay, 3x means you've got 3 x's, adding 2 more of them, you get 5x. And we have a plus 6 on the end, and this is our final answer. So these brackets here, x plus 2 times by x plus 3, means exactly the same thing as this, x squared plus 5x plus 6. And this is the answer. And let's just highlight that to make sure that we know that this is definitely the final answer. Okay, fantastic. The second example, we've got x plus 9 all squared. And just so we can kind of really get into the question, let's rewrite this, because we know that if you square something, you're timesing your thing by itself. So you've got x plus 9, because you're squaring it, you're timesing it by itself. You can't see it, but there are time signs between these brackets. That is what it means here. You're timesing them. So that's what that means. You're timesing it by itself. X plus 9 times by x plus 9. And that's the same thing as the first question. You take your first term times by the second term. X times by x is equal to x squared. We've then got x timesing it through by 9. X times 9, you can go and write as plus 9x. You've then got 9 times by x again. 9 times x again is 9x, so plus 9x. You then got 9 times by a 9. 9 times 9 is equal to plus 81. But again, we can simplify this. I mean, it's not wrong this, but if you can in maths, you should always look to simplify. And we can simplify. Let's use a bit of a lighter color this time. Let's go for this one. We've got a plus 9x, okay, and you're adding on another plus 9x. They're like terms because they both end with an x. So we can simplify those two. So overall we get x squared, 9x plus 9x is going to give you plus 18x, and you've got that plus 81 on the end to give you the final answer, which is brilliant. And there we go. So what you can do is you can pause the video. You can give those two questions there a go, and we'll go through them now. So the first one, we've got x plus 9 timesing it by x plus 4. Again, we expand each part using our claw method. So x times by x, again, gives us x squared. We've then got x timesing it through by 4, gives you plus 4x. You've got 9 times it by x, gives you plus 9x. 9 timesing it through by 4 gives you plus 36. Okay, and again, you've got a 4x and a 9x. They're like terms. You can simplify it. You can group it together. So overall, we get x squared. 4x plus 9x gives you plus 13 x, and you got that plus 36 on the end. There we go. Brilliant. So that is your answer for this one. Second one, we've got x plus 5 squared. Again, let's just rewrite it in longhand to make it a little bit easier. We've got x plus 5. We're timesing it by itself because that's what squaring means. You're timesing your thing by itself. And again, we expand each part. So x times x gives you x squared. X times by this 5 gives us plus 5x. 5 by x, timesing it gives you plus 5x again. And then 5 timesing it through by 5 gives you plus 25. So we've got a plus 5x plus another 5x. Okay, we can simplify that part because they're like terms to give you plus 10x. And then you've got that plus 25 on the end. There we go. Brilliant. That is your answer. If you got both of those correct, that is brilliant. Then we can move on to some slightly trickier examples. And these ones are trickier because this time we've got changing signs, we've got negatives, we've got positives, but also we've got coefficients, numbers bigger than just 1 before the x. So we've got a 2 here and a 3 here. But it is exactly the same process. So let's get into it. So again, expand the following, also simplifying. Begin by just kind of the same approach. So x timesing it by x, we get x squared. We've then got x, we're timesing it through by 2, gives us plus 2x. The next part, it's negative 1 times by x. So it's not plus x, it's going to give you minus 1x, which you can just write as minus x. This means minus 1x. You've then got negative 1 timesing it through by plus 2. Minus 1 times by 2 is equal to negative 2. So that negative belongs to that 1, which is really, really important. You've then got your like terms. You've got a plus 2x and a negative x, which we can go and combine. So we get x squared. 2x take away 1x. You can't see it, but there's a 1 there. 2x take away 1x is 1x. 2 take away 1 is 1. So it's going to be plus 1x. So plus x. And we've got that take away 2 on the end, 2. Finish up. And this is our answer for this one. Brilliant. This one is about as tricky as it's going to get because you've got numbers other than 1 before the x parts, and you've got negatives also involved in the question. But we approach it in the same way as before. We go and do 2x times it by 3x. So the first bit, we're doing 2x timesing it by 3x. And really this is like our laws of indices, isn't it? We can go and do 2 times by that 3, which is 6. X times by x gives you x squared. So the first part is going to give you 6x squared. We then got 2x timesing it by negative 1. So 2x times negative 1. Well, 2 by negative 1 is negative 2. And you've got the x part there. So we get negative 2x. You've then got negative 3 times by 3x. So we've got, let's write it over here. So you've got negative 3. We're timesing it through by 3x. Well, minus 3 times by 3 is minus 9 with the x there. So we get minus 9x. We've then got negative 3 times by negative 1. You're timesing 2 negatives, you get a positive, so we get plus 3. I'm just going to go and get rid of this line, otherwise it might get in the way a little bit. So we get plus 3 on the end. There we go. And then we're not finished because we've got our like terms. We've got a minus 2x and we've got a minus 9x that we can go and combine. Because they're like terms, because they both end with the same letter. So you've got negative 2x, take away 9x. So you're at minus 2, you take away 9, you get to minus 11. So it's going to be minus 11x. And we've got a plus 3 on the end. And that is your answer for that one. A bit tricky that one, because you've got negatives, you've got numbers bigger than 1 before the x, but nothing that we can't handle. So you've got 2 more questions that you can try there. And then you can try some more on the next page. So this is, let's go through them. So the first, your term, again, let's go through it. So x times by x gives you x squared. X times through by 1 gives you plus 1x, so plus x. Negative 8 by x gives you negative 8x. Negative 8 times by 1 gives you negative 8. And then again, we've got a plus 1x and a minus 8x. They're like terms. You can go and simplify the middle parts. 1x take away 8x is going to give you negative 7x, so minus 7x. And we've got a take away 8, and that is your answer for the first one. Your second one, again, expand the brackets. So we've got 5x timesing it by 4x. 5 times by 4 gives you 20. X timesing it by the x gives you x squared. 5x times by negative 1 is going to give you negative 5x. x. Negative 4 times by 4x, or minus 4 times by 4, it's going to give you negative 16. And you've got the x there. Negative 4 times by negative 1 is going to give you plus 4. And again, these parts here, the minus 5x, the minus 16x, they're like terms. You've got the x and the x attached to them. So that's really important to note. So overall, we get 20x squared. You've then got negative 5x take away 16x is going to give you negative 21x. You've got that plus 4 on the end. There we go. That is your answer. If you got this correct, that is brilliant. Then we can go and try 4 more questions. This is all of the examples that you need to kind of be aware of at the grade 5 level. And that is going to be it for this video. So the first one, expand this bracket. Again, we've got x times by x, which is x squared, x times by 2, which is going to give you plus 2x, 8 times by x, which is plus 8x, and then 8 times by 2, which is going to give us plus 16. We're not finished because you've got a plus 2x plus 8x. You can combine together to give you plus 10x. You've then got that 16 also on the end. There we go. So that is fantastic. That is your first answer. Good. The top right, again, same process. X by x gives you x squared. X by plus 1 gives you plus 1x, so just plus x. Negative 6 times by x gives you minus 6x. Negative 6 times by 1 is going to give you negative 6. We then combine the middle parts again. Okay, so plus 1x take away 6x, which will give you, well, plus 1 take away 6 is going to give you negative 5. So negative 5x, and you've got that negative 6 on the end. There we go. That is your second answer. Good. This one, okay, we've got x minus 7 squared. Again, it means x minus 7. You're timesing it by itself, x minus 7. Then we expand like normal. So x times x gives you x squared. X by negative 7 gives you minus 7x. Negative 7 times by x gives you minus 7x. Minus 7 by minus 7 gives you positive 49. We've got a minus 7x and a minus 7x, which we can combine together to give you, well, negative 7x take away 7x is minus 14x plus a 49 on the end. There we go. That is your answer. Excellent. Last but not least, we've got the humdinger because we've got numbers bigger than 1 before our x part, but we've got 4x by 4x. 4 times 4 is 16, and it's going to be x squared because we've got the x timesing it by the x. We've then got 4x times by 3. 4 times 3 is 12 with the x part. Negative 2 times by 4x, or minus 2 times by 4 is minus 8 with the x part. Negative 2 times by a plus 3 gives you negative 6. We've got a 12x, we've got a negative 8x, so overall we get 16x squared plus 12x take away 8x gives you plus 4x. We've got that take away 6 on the end. There we go. Brilliant. Okay, so I've got the sun blaring in my eyes. You can't see that, obviously, but it was a bit of a squint there. Anyway, if you got all of that correct, that is brilliant. That is another topic in your inventory. Well done. Thank you.